All right. So this question right here, we'll pull it up. I'll show you the responses. So as you can see, as a class, really not very good because, and I'm not even going to mark which one is right yet. Let me look at it. Which one is right? It would be A. Okay, so that is the correct answer. So I will mark it. Okay. So A was correct, but still we have a lot of people missing it. Now, there's a few different strategies you could do. Okay, there are a few different strategies. Okay, number one, I always said turn into decimals. I think decimals are easier to work with, and I think most of you agree as well, correct? Now, do you all agree that negative 2.5 is going to be negative 2 point something?
Yes.
Will you shut that door, please? Okay, do we all agree that over here, this is going to be negative 2 point something?
Yes.
Do we all agree with those two things right away? Okay, now remember, turning a fraction into a decimal is very simple because all fractions are division problems. Very nice. So, I know that I just got to do 1 divided by 2, and whatever that gives me, which is 0.5, I'm just going to take those numbers to the right of the decimal, and I'm going to tack it right onto there.
Oh.
Everybody got that?
Yes.
All right, then over here, I do 2 divided by 3. That's going to give me 0.6, and I can put them all on there. Unnecessary, right? Because, as you can see, remember, the 7 at the end is just because if your calculator only is programmed to go to so many places. Like, that means 0.6 forever. Let's say the calculator, like I had this going on and on and on forever, but your calculator is only programmed to go to that many places. What it's going to do is it's going to round that last number up. Or not up, but it's going to round. So we're going to look, what would the number to the right be? So do you see why that last number goes to a 7?
Yeah.
That makes sense? So it's not that 2/3 equals 0.666666667. It's just the fact that your calculator can't show 0.6 forever. Make sense? Okay. So now I don't need to put all those because I already see a difference there. Right, everybody?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Now, we all know that if we were doing positives, 2.5 and 2.6, we would stack them up. Right, guys?
Yeah.
We would work our way left to right. So we would cross off the 2's because they don't help us. Then we would learn, oh, that one's larger, right?
Yeah.
With negatives, it's opposite of everything's the opposite, right? And that's what's hard. Okay, so you got to be able to think, okay, well, if negative 2.6, wouldn't that be farther from 0 than negative 2.5? And specifically, it would be farther to the left, right, everybody? So that's one strategy you could do. I'll give you another strategy. And by the way, yeah, it would be this, okay? So it's the opposite of what it would normally be. Normally, 2.6 would be greater. Let me write it the way I had it. 2.5 if they're positives, and 2.6, normally it would be like this, right?
Yes.
Everybody agree with that? But negatives, everything is opposite. It's all because it's farther to the left. Now, the other strategy is, could you do common denominators? Could you make this 6 and make this 3? Could you make this 6? Could you make this 4? And then, once again, but it's opposite. So this is the one where the real strategy, I don't care whether you do fractions or whether you do decimals. I think decimals are easier in this case. Draw a number line. How many of you drew a number line on this? Did you? Did it help? Okay. Okay, so because this number is between negative 2 and what? Negative 2 and negative 3. Do I need to put a bunch of numbers on there? No, just put the 2 whole numbers. Now, I'm going to do this one in green. Oh, yeah, that's not going to work. I'll do this one in green highlighter. I'll do this one in yellow highlighter. Okay? Who can help me? Where would negative 2.5 go? Where would negative 2.5 go on that number line? Specifically, give me the specifics. Carissa?
Like right in between 2 and 3.
It would be directly in between negative 2 and negative 3, right, guys? So here's the real question. For negative 2.6 right here, is that going to be closer to negative 3, or is it going to be closer to negative 2? Yes? You got it. So right there, we just answered our own question. It's really hard to see, sorry. But I think you guys get the point. Right there, right?
Yes.
So, which one's farther to the left? Obviously, it is this one, therefore it's trying to eat the other one. Make sense?
Yes.
We understand how to do that now?
Yes.
All right. We'll come back to that here in a little bit.
So should we do another one?
We will come back to it here in a little bit.
Is it done with?
So here's our situation. Okay, this is what we're going to be talking about here. Okay, these are the ones that, like the one that we talked about with the dog on the cliff and the fish, and might have been a helicopter. I can't remember, but it was in your video. Your what was it? 9 through 12 video, right? Okay. Riley is eating cotton candy in an airplane at 270 feet above sea level. Reagan is riding a bird at 100 feet below that airplane. Davis is swimming at 35 feet below sea level. Zach is scuba diving 20 feet below Davis. So what we're going to do, what we're going to start with, you're going to have to answer a bunch of questions based on this here in a minute. Okay? But the first thing we're going to do, well, actually, what do you think the first thing we're going to do is? What did I do in the video? Or what was there? Yep.
Well, first we did a vertical number.
I'm going to turn this into a vertical number line. So we're going to, you're not going to do it with me, you're just going to watch right now. But I'm just going to draw my vertical number line. Okay? Do you agree that if you were looking, if you were really looking here, we're going to have this right here. What's that?
Sea level.
Sea level. So how many feet is sea level?
0.
Do you agree that's 0?
Yep.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yep.
All right. So I got 4 things I need to put on this. I need to put Riley eating cotton candy in the airplane. I got Reagan riding a bird. I got Davis swimming, and I got Snorkel Man back there scuba diving. Okay? I got those 4 things. I got to figure out where they're going to go on this number line. So let's start with Riley. Where's Riley's airplane going to be on this vertical number line? Where is it going to be? Davis?
All the way at the top.
All the way at the top. So we're going to go ahead and call this 270. And then I'm just going to put Rye there. Okay? Does everybody agree with that? 270, I should probably put feet.
Yeah.
And everybody understands that sea level is 0 feet. Everybody get that? Okay. All right. So now, Reagan is riding a bird at 100 feet below the airplane. Now, this is where it gets a little hard for some students. Where is Reagan going to be at? On the number line. On the number line. Leighton?
At 170, so it would be like somewhere in the middle.
Okay, he said about right here at 170, right? Does anybody disagree with that?
Oh, yeah.
Where do you want it?
What? Oh, never mind.
Okay, does anybody think it could be anything anywhere else?
Because it's not.
Okay, I'm going to show you the mistake. I'm glad maybe you're thinking this, you just don't want to say it out loud. But I'm going to show you the mistake. People see this number, and what do? They say, yep, we got Davis right here at 100 feet. Do you see why they would make that mistake, though? Because they're used to seeing the numbers, and they say, oh, Riley was at 270, so Reagan must be at 100 feet. But that's not what it says. Do you guys understand that? It says that Reagan is 100 feet below Riley. So, if Riley is at 270 feet, then I've got to do 270, and I've got to subtract the 100 feet because she's 100 feet below her. Does that make sense? Okay, which is where we got 170. That's where Leighton got that. So right here, this is going to be Reagan and the bird. We'll call her our bird. Okay? That's where Reagan and the bird go. Here's your Chromebook. That's where Reagan and the bird are. Now let's keep going here. Davis is swimming at 35 feet below sea level. Somebody describe to me where Davis is swimming based on the number line. Shane? In the negative. So do we know that's below what? What is that below here? Why are you drawing? Hey, you with me? What? Below what, guys?
0.
So does everybody agree that both Davis and Zach are going to be somewhere below here?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good start. I like that. Okay. So give me a better description though. Like where we were able to see that Riley was at 270 feet above sea level. The lid should be on the markers, guys. Lid should be on the markers. Okay. We were able to figure out that Reagan was at 170 feet above sea level. The reason we were able to figure that out is because we knew that she was 100 feet below where Riley was eating cotton candy. Okay, so somebody help me out here. Where is Davis at on this number line? Basing it on the number line. Reagan?
So, like, right below the 0 feet line?
Would you say about right there?
Yeah.
Okay. And what would that be? What would that be as far as the number line is concerned?
35.
Everybody says 35 feet, right?
Negative.
It's got to be negative 35 feet, right? Now, some people might say, Mr. Garrison, you just told us on Friday there is no negative distance. And is feet a type of distance? Sure it is. But you have to put negatives on a number line, right? I didn't say he was negative 35 feet. I said he was 35 feet below, which means negative on a number line. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so right here, this is where Davis is swimming. Okay, so Davis is swimming at negative 35 feet. Okay, now, who can describe to me where Zach is scuba diving? Where is Zach scuba diving? Yes.
She went to, no. 20 feet below, negative. So, just go Davis.
Okay, so what's that mean? Where at on the number line? Where at on the number line? Grab a whiteboard and a clicker and a marker. Yes? Yes. Hey, help me out here. Come on, guys. Think about it. There's two possible answers here. Read it. Zach is scuba diving 20 feet below Davis. Zach is scuba diving 20 feet below Davis. Davis?
55 feet.
So up here, 55 feet right there.
Negative. Well,
Okay.
Right.
It's got to be negative 55, right, everybody?
Yeah.
So we're going to put him at negative 55. And my spacing isn't perfect, but that's really not the point of this. Has everybody got that? Where else, what mistake might students make? What do you think my students in the past, I'll put all my mistakes in green. Where do you think they might put Zach on this number line? Elena. They put, at what though? Remember, it is important to know where, above this, below that, but when I say where, I'm talking about the actual number, the integer on the number line. Elena? Do you agree that a lot of people might put Zach at negative 20, guys? Do you guys all see that? Do you understand why they would put negative 20? Because they see 20 feet below and they say, oh, but does it say 20 feet below sea level or does it say 20 feet below Davis? Yes. Okay. So this would be incorrect. You guys understand why? Up on the bookshelf. Everybody getting this? I feel like we're distracted because of people coming in and out right now from the fundraiser thing. Are we all clear on this? It doesn't say 20 feet below sea level. If it did, then yeah, he would be, Zach would be right there at negative 20. You guys understand that? But because he's 20 feet below Davis, we know that he has to be 20 feet farther down than 35. So even though there's negatives involved, it's just going 35 plus 20. Do you guys see how I did that? You just have to know that it's negatives. You guys don't have to add negatives or understand adding and subtracting negatives to do this. Everybody understand that? It's just thinking, well, if he's at negative 35 feet and he's 20 more feet down, that's negative 55. Does everybody understand that? I'm going super slow right now because I want to make sure we got this. So then this is going to be Zach right here at negative 55 feet. Yes?
So we have to add them together to get that.
Yeah, because you went farther down. Remember, you count negatives just like you count positives. So when Riley was below there, so we took 100 from 270, right? Here, we added it on because we're going farther down. That's what's confusing for students. Okay? But we'll get it, I promise. Okay, everybody go with that? Now, this is the diagram that you would have to draw. You have to do this when you're given this question, and you're going to see why. Let me give you some questions now. Here are some questions that I might ask for this, and I want you guys to think of it. I might ask, what is the vertical distance between Davis and Riley? What do you guys think? How am I going to figure that out? how am I going to figure out how many feet there are between Davis down here and Riley? So I need to figure out how many feet are between Davis, who's right here, and then Riley. I need to figure that out. Okay, how am I going to do this, Jaden?
First we could take 35 feet and, so it would be 35 feet from Davis to the sea level.
Okay, so he's saying from right here to right here would be 35 feet, right, guys?
And since gravity is up there, which is 270 feet, could you add 270 and 35?
Does anybody disagree with what he is saying right there? He's absolutely correct. I couldn't have explained it better myself. It's all, hey, by the way, what did I just find of those two numbers? Absolute value, right? That's exactly what we come back to now. Because you've got to think about it like this. Let's say that let's say that Davis is swimming and, you know what, he's like a dolphin and he can jump out of the water, okay? He's just got gills, okay? So my thing is, if Davis was going to go up and then he was going to jump up here and he was going to, hey, give me a bite of your cotton candy, and then go back down, how far would he have to travel? Well, in order to just get to the edge of the water, he would have to travel 35 feet. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
Okay? And then to actually get up to the airplane, he would have to then travel another 270. It's just adding the absolute values. Are we getting that? Okay, so that would be 270 plus 35, which would be 305. Okay? Now I could change it. What if I said this? What if I said, what is the vertical distance between Reagan and Zach? Who can tell me how I would do that? Yes?
Wouldn't you just do it the second way, but like different numbers?
Absolutely. Because let's say Reagan, the bird you're riding on, gets a little tired. So it starts, mayday, mayday, it starts going down. How far would it have to travel just to get back to that water? 170 feet is how far it traveled. Now it keeps sinking. Oh, hey, Zach, you're snorkeling. How much farther would she have to go to get down to where he is then? 55 feet. So what do you need to do with those two distances? Add them. Are we understanding how to do this?
Yes.
Are we getting this? All right. I'm going to have you guys try one now. All right. So here, I'm going to reread this again because it's very, very, very much. This is almost a reading question. Like you could almost make the argument this question right here could be an English question just as much as a math question. Okay, because it's all about reading. Okay, so Reagan is riding a flying unicorn at 180 meters above sea level. Deja is walking on a rainbow at 22 meters above Reagan. Leighton is trying to get bit by a shark at 80 feet below sea level, and D. Wade is snorkeling at 20 feet above Leighton. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw my number line. Okay, so we start there. Now, what's the first thing that should go on your number line always? Yes. Sea level, because we know that's 0. So there's a couple different ways you could do it. I mean, some people like to show like little waves like that, but you got to make sure you put 0 meters. Okay? And also, I like to label everything, so I would like to see you guys put sea level, SL.
No, I
Come on.
just wrote it.
Who's that for?
That's Brian.
Okay, sea level. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit. We'll go back up to the reading of it here in a minute. Actually, no, I won't. Okay? So here's my sea level, so I got that on. So first of all, let's just go through it. Reagan is flying on a unicorn, or riding a unicorn, not flying one, at 180 meters above sea level. Since it says specifically above sea level, then that tells me that's where it's at on the number line. Does that make sense? I think everybody would agree in the room that was pretty easy. That part, whenever it just gives you how far it is above or below sea level, that's very simple. Agreed?
Yeah.
So we know that that's going to be 180. By the way, I made this was supposed to be meters. Sorry, guys. I changed it halfway. Meters, it doesn't matter. That's really not the point of this. I'm not saying it's not important, but for this, it's not really that important. Okay? I like to label it. That's going to be Reagan on a uni. Okay? So, Reagan's riding a unicorn, so I'm labeling it. with me. Okay? Now we got to read the next sentence. So I'm taking care of what's going on with Reagan. I've got her on there. Remember, how much of a space there is between isn't really all that important for this, because it's not going to be exact. Okay? Next, we know Deja is walking on a rainbow at 22 meters above Reagan. Now, this is where most of you were pretty good from what I saw. Does it say 22 feet above sea level?
Yeah.
It does?
No.
Or 22 meters? So a lot of people want to do this, right? Is that correct? No, because it doesn't say 22 meters above sea level. It says 22 meters above where Reagan is riding that unicorn. So what we have to do is we got to think, well, what would 22 meters above this be? Wouldn't it just be 180 plus 22? Yeah, absolutely. So we know that Deja is going to be up here at 202 meters. So we'll put D rain. Okay. Okay. Deja's walking on a rainbow. D rain. Okay. Now we're going to go to the other side of it, and I'm going to put these ones in red because when you think of negatives, a lot of times red is how you represent negatives sometimes. Okay. So now we got Leighton is trying to get bit by a shark at 80 feet below, or 80 meters below sea level, right? Now that's easy because it said below sea level. So we know right away Leighton's going to be down here somewhere trying to get bit by a shark. Okay? Shark teeth. Okay? So now we have to figure out what's going on with Dwayne Wade. I don't know how he's hanging out with Reagan, Deja, and Leighton, but whatever. So Dwayne Wade's hanging out with those individuals. Okay? He is snorkeling. He may not want to with sharks in the water, but that's okay. He is snorkeling 20 feet above Leighton. So if he's above Leighton, would you guys agree that he's up here somewhere?
Yeah.
Agreed?
No.
We've got to figure... Who disagrees? Because if he was snorkeling below Leighton, he'd be down here. What you guys got to understand, there's a difference between saying below an object or below sea level. Everybody got that? Back to this. All right, now. So this is what's hard, and I know it's hard. That's why I'm spending time going over it. We have a hard time being able to, when you see those negatives, they mess with you. Now, when I write negative 80, do I got to write it with a negative down there? Yeah, because you can't number a number line with positives below zero. Can't do it. You just can't. Now, we would never say he's negative 80 feet. That doesn't make any sense. You can't have negative distance. But he's negative 80 on the vertical number line. He's just 80 feet below sea level otherwise. Now, how are we going to figure out where Dwayne Wade is? Well, think about it. If he's above Leighton, we know he's going to be up here somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So what would, if negative 80 is right there, what would 20... Record. Okay. So getting back to this now, we've got to figure out, you got to think about it like this. If I actually had a number line, and I had, you got to give me a second, okay? And I wanted to count these by tens. This is what it would look like. Do you guys agree?
But we're talking negative 17
Negative 20, and then if I extend it, it would be negative 10, then 0. Now my intervals there are 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so think about it. If he's 20 feet above Leighton, what would 20 feet above be? He'd be at negative 60, so now we know he would be right there, and that's where we'd put D Wade. Okay? Now, here's my question for all of you. I want to know, and we're going to do this in our clickers, so be ready. I want to know what the distance between Leighton and the shark and Reagan and the unicorn. I want to know what the vertical distance between those two individuals are. So the question was, how far apart are these, basically? And like I said, you don't have to understand how to add and subtract negatives. So I'm going to end this so we can see. Now we had some of you say 100. We had some of you say 260. The majority of you said 260. Shh. We had a couple people say 282, and we had one 360. The correct answer for this one was 260. Now let's talk about why a little bit here. Okay? Let's talk about why. Please listen, guys. All right, so again, you have to think about this in terms of how far would Reagan have to travel to be able to get to where Leighton is. Like, let's say she's up there flying on a unicorn, and she all of a sudden sees Leighton getting bit by a shark. She wants to save him. She goes into superhero mode. Okay? Now, how far are Regan and that unicorn going to have to travel just to get to the water? Just to get to the water, how far are they going to have to travel for this? Shane? They're going to have to travel 180 meters. Okay, now she's got to go deep into the water. How far is she going to travel to get down to where Leighton is getting eaten by a shark? Where is that going to be? Yes? She's going to have to travel another 80. Again, what did we just find of the two numbers? The absolute values. Absolute values. So we know if she is traveling 180 meters here and 80 meters here, we're going to add those two absolute values together to get 260. Is that making sense? Okay? It could go the other way. Let's say that he's down there with the shark, and all of a sudden he says, you know what, I'm going to jump out like we talked about, like a dolphin. How far is he going to have to travel just to get to the top of the water? 80 meters. How far then would he have to travel to get up to where she is? 180. Does that make sense? All right. Now the question might ask this. It might be, instead of it being distance between that and those two people, what if it said, I need to know how far Dwayne Wade and Deja are? Go ahead and do that. Tell me the distance, the vertical distance between Deja and Dwayne Wade. So I'm going to pull up the answer here. My question was, how far is Dwayne Wade and Deja apart? Well, if I pull that up, most of you did get 262. Now we had a couple people still missing. It's okay. Let's talk about it. Okay. Once again, Dwayne Wade wants to get to Deja. He wants to go up, and he wants to walk on a rainbow with her. How far is Dwayne Wade going to have to travel just to get back to the top of the water? 60 meters, right, guys? How far is that? How much farther is he going to need to go to get up to where that rainbow is? Morgan? 202. What am I going to do with those two distances? I'm going to add them together. Okay, I'm going to add them together because that's the total distance he has to travel. Okay, so that's where we get 202 plus 60 is 262. Everybody got that? So here's our situation. This one's a little bit different, so please listen. Mr. Garrison is riding in a hot air balloon at 100 feet above sea level. Kyle is riding on a flying rainbow squid at 60 feet above sea level. Connor is surfing on a shark at 30 feet below sea level, and Elena is petting a cow at 50 feet below sea level. Now, look here, guys. Please look. So let me go through this. This is a different type. So I want to just show you. So you're not doing this one. You're just watching. Okay. Okay. This is. Let me fix my little thing here. Okay. That's really hard to see, but it might help. It's all right. We'll do it like this. Okay. So right here, what do I got to put on there first of all? I got to put 0 feet. And I want to put sea level. Right, everybody? Now let's read the first sentence. Mr. Garrison is riding in a hot air balloon at 100 feet above sea level. So do you agree I'm up here at 100 feet? Okay, that's me. Okay? Now, Kyle is riding on a flying rainbow squid at 60 feet above sea level. Now, where is he on the number line? Where is he? Sit down. Where is he at on the number line? Yeah.
Like right under 100 feet.
So about right here. At what, though? How many? At 60. Notice, did I have to subtract anything or anything like that? No, because I gave you the feet above sea level. So there's Kyle. Now let's go. Connor is surfing on a shark at 30 feet below sea level. Where's that going to be? On the number line, Davis.
30.
Negative 30. And that's going to be Connor. Okay, and then finally, Elena is petting a cow at negative 50. So wouldn't you agree it would be right there?
No.
Notice I did not give you any they're going to be doing this below the hot air balloon or above the shark. You guys all understand that?
Yeah.
Now, on this one, what if I asked you guys, if I said, what is the distance between Connor and Elena? What are you going to do now? Okay, do you agree? This is what's confusing. If I did 30 plus 50, do you agree that Connor and Elena are 80 feet apart? So here's you're going to subtract. Now you forget about the negatives. You're just going to do 50 minus 30, right? If I said, what is the vertical distance between Kyle and me? What would that be? 100 minus 60 would be 40. You guys all understand that?
Yeah.
So here's my little mnemonic. You guys know what a mnemonic device is?
No?
It's something that helps you remember something, like PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Like that helps you remember something. This is mine for this. You guys ready for this? If you're trying to find vertical distance and you have to go across 0, do you see the A and across?
Yeah.
We're going to be adding, or absolute value. No, we're going to be adding. Okay? If you're staying on the same side of 0, we are going to do what? Subtract. You guys see that? So you're going to hear me say that a lot. If you're going across 0, we're adding. If you're staying on the same side of 0, we're going to be subtracting. Everybody got that? Okay. So here we have a problem. We have to figure out which one of these is larger. Now, real quick, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same problem. Actually, let me go back. I'm just going to go down here. I'm going to do the same problem, only now I'm going to be doing positive 2.5 and positive 2 2/3. Now, who can tell me which one's larger here? Which one of those two is larger? Owen? 2 2/3 is larger. You guys would all agree it's there, yes?
Yep.
Okay, so what is the strategy that I've taught you? I gave you a couple different strategies when comparing rational numbers, which are numbers that are not whole. They're fractions and decimals. Myra? Huh? It would be. No, you're right. Yep. But how would I go about solving these? Because fractions are difficult because, if you thought about 1/10 of a pizza and 2/21 of a pizza, you can't just say one's larger than the other. There's some work that has to happen, Grace. You could do a number line. Okay. Now that does work. Before we do that, though, let's do one other step. Yes?
Divide top.
Yeah, we're going to turn them into decimals. You guys remember that? And like this one, I know it's going to be negative 2 point something. Does everybody agree with that? So we got negative 2 point. Now, what he just said there is you could do 1 divided by 2 because all fractions are division problems. So that's going to be negative 2.5. And then this one, we do negative 2 point. 2 divided by 3 would give us 0.6 repeating forever, right? Do I need to put all those sixes on there? No, do you agree that I only need to put 1 because in this case, they're different after 1? Just watch it. Okay? Everybody see that? Now, down here, these are going to be the same thing. So, would you agree that this one would be 2.6? And I can put them all on there if I wanted to. And this one would be 2.5, right? You guys can tell when something is larger, when they're positive. You guys are good at that. We would take this, we would stack them up, right, everybody? And we would work our way left to right. Don't learn anything there. Do we learn something right? Do we learn something in the 10th place, guys? Yeah, we learned that this one is larger, right? Negatives are different, but the thinking about them is the same way. Whenever we're given negatives, I want to do what Grace said. I want to create a number line. Now, what two numbers do I need to put on this number line? What two integers, which are positive or negative whole numbers?
Elijah, focus.
What would that be? What two numbers? I mean, I could number -1 all the way to -200 if I wanted to, but what numbers do I absolutely need? Yes.
2 and
Not 2 and 1, but no. We're close. Will?
2, 3.
No. You guys are all close, but yeah.
Negative.
Okay. If I put -1 on there and I put -2 on there, are those numbers going to fall somewhere between here? Everybody thinks so. That's where you guys are getting confused about positives. -2 point something is going to be on this side of -2, right? Do we all understand that? You guys are just thinking, oh, well, 2.5 would be, the positive 2.5 would look like this, right? I would have 2 here, 3 here, 2.5 would be right there. Does everybody agree? So you can't always think on the right. This would be on the left. So, do I need to have -3 on here? Hello?
Yes.
Now, who can describe to me, where would -2.5 be on this number line? Where would it be, Joseph?
Between 3 and 2.
No.
It would be -3 and 2.
Yeah, between -2 and -3. Now, when you say between, do you mean right between? Is it
Right in the middle.
right exactly smack dab in the middle is where that's going to go because it's the same distance from -2 as it is from -3. Okay, now where's this one going to go? Where's -2.6? And I can put all these 6's on here. Where are those going to? Where's that going to go? Give me a description of where it's going to go. Yeah. That's not 2.5. So right next to it, and that could be over here. That could be here, 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 here. Where specific? I need a specific description. Kylie,
It's gonna be to the left of.
would you guys all agree that it would have to be closer to -3? Now, what do we know about numbers that are to the right on a number line? Numbers that are to the right. What are numbers to the right always? Alex? Larger. So, do you agree that the green one is larger to the right, guys? So, do you agree that my inequality symbol is going to be trying to eat it like this? You guys see that? Do you understand how to use the number line and all that?
Yeah.
Somebody use. Everybody got that? Do we understand it? You've got to still do the same process as far as the decimals. But then the number line will help you on the negatives. You don't have to do it with positives, but the negatives definitely. All right. All right. So, I'll read it again to you. Mr. Zenker is flying at 150 feet above sea level. Kylie is floating 30 feet below Mr. Zenker. Dominique is scuba diving at 50 feet below the sea level. And Macy is playing soccer 40 feet above Dominique. Okay? So, vertical number line. What's the first thing we should put on a vertical number line, guys? What's the first thing? 0. Thank you. Very nice. Now, if I were drawing this out, what would sea level be representing here? Yes? No. Kylie?
0.
Okay, that's what it is. But what is that representing in the question here? What is 0 when we're talking about high, low? What is that called? Like how high something is in the air, how far it is in the ocean? Yes?
Well, in a way, it's sort of called the ground level area.
Yeah, or I'm going to call it sea level. But ground level, sea level, same idea. Does everybody understand that? That is where the water starts. Below it would be negative numbers because we're feet below sea level. Remember the word below was a negative. She told us it was a negative, right? Above would say positive. Okay, so that's where we're going to start. Notice how I'm going to put my numbers on the right of the number line. Get you with me? Okay, I'm going to put the actual whatever it is on the left side of the number line. So that's sea level. That, by the way, the blue waves, that was just water. That's just my way of showing water. Everybody got that? Okay, so who can describe to me where Mr. Zenker is flying? Where is he flying up there? Where is he? Who wants to talk me through that? Dominique? Where at on the number line?
It's about right at the top of the number line.
Would you guys agree about right there? It doesn't really matter. It's up a little ways, right? Because he is 150 feet above where this water is. Do you guys agree that I just represented 150 feet? All right. So, he's at 150 feet, so we're going to put Zenker. Because that's where he is. He's up there flying in an airplane or whatever, and he is that far above sea level. Does everybody agree with that? Because the sea level is 0. If he's 150 feet above it, that means he's at 150. Everybody got that?
Yep.
Okay. Now, who can help me understand where Kylie is on the number line? Where is Kylie floating? Okay. Same hands. I want to see some different people thinking. I'm going to give everybody a chance to really think about it here. Ellie. So would you guys, I mean, it doesn't, the spacing of it isn't as big a deal that doesn't matter. But do you guys agree that that Kylie's somewhere around in here?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to know specifically what feet? How many feet is Kylie above sea level? That's what I want to know. So what do you guys think? How many feet is Kylie above the sea level? Where is she floating at? If I were looking at this, imagine you were standing and you were able to look at this situation. You would see Mr. Zenker up there in an airplane. You'd see Kylie floating somewhere. You would see Dominique down there scuba diving, and you'd see the soccer player playing in the water. But you'd be able to see everything, the sky and in the water. You got to think about it in that terms. Where would Kylie be as far as the number line goes? Yes? She says 120 feet. Does anybody disagree? Very good, Myra. Very, very good. That's very impressive that everybody agreed. Hopefully you're meaning that. Do you guys want to guess what the mistake that my students have made in the past is? Yes?
It says 30 feet below. Some people actually use the 3 helmet and go 130 feet.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that isn't exactly what I was looking for. That's really hard to see, but I'll just do it down here. Some people would see, they only read it to about right there, and they see feet below. So below is a negative term, right? So they think, negative 30. The other thing that my students have done in the past is they've said, Kylie is floating at 30 feet. Do you guys see where that mistake would happen?
Yeah.
But is that what's happening? This right here, if Kylie was right here, guys, it would have said that she is 30 feet above sea level. Or it would have said she's 30 feet below sea level if she were here. Does that make sense? Are you guys understanding that? Okay, good. Okay, so she's not. Now, who wants to help me explain how did Myra figure this out? Because she was right on. Great job, Myra. That was exactly where Kylie is. She's floating at 120 feet above sea level. How in the world do we know that, though, Edie?
You have to subtract.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do 150 minus 120. And the reason you do that is because, look, we know that if Mr. Zenker's up there in an airplane at 150 feet and she is 30 feet below him, that's where we just subtract 30. You guys understand that? We all got that? Okay. All right, so let's move on. Let's go down to Dominique and Macy. Okay. Well, who can tell me? We're done with the information up here. Now we're on to Dominique. Dominique is scuba diving at 50 feet below sea level. Who can describe to me where Dominique is scuba diving based on the number line? Who wants to explain that to me? Scovin.
About right there.
So down here at the bottom somewhere?
Yeah.
So again, the spacing of it isn't as big a deal. But where would that be? Well, we don't just say about here, about there. That's not going to help us in what we're going to do. We need to give it a specific number on that number line. Scovin? Okay, so what is that? What number would that be on the number line? Right, you guys hear that? A lot of people would say that she's up here. Well, ask yourself for a minute. Is Dominique going to be able to be scuba diving at 50 feet?
Ooh, that's not possible.
Not possible.
Get
Well,
scuba diving here.
exactly. So, we know that Dominique is going to be at negative 50 feet. And we'll put Dylan, since that's his real name. Okay? Now, let's read the next sentence. Macy is playing soccer 40 feet above Dominique. Okay? So, who can explain to me where Macy is playing soccer? She's in the water, which really doesn't make a lot of sense, but she is in the water, right? Joseph?
10 feet.
So right here?
Negative 10 feet.
Okay? So he says
Underwater.
that she is right here at negative 10 feet, and that would be Macy. Yep. Okay, does anybody disagree with that? And you can disagree. I love disagreements, because if you disagree, I want to hear your disagreement. I want to hear your confusion if you think that's wrong. Everybody thinks he's actually correct?
Yeah.
He is. Okay. Do you think I've had students in the past I'll do this in black, put Macy at negative 40 feet? Or do you see they see the word above and they might put her up here at 40 feet? Do you think that happens too? Okay. Everybody got that? Now, who wants to explain to me, how did we find out that Macy was at negative 10 feet based on our little drawing here? She's negative, if the water's right here, she's 10 feet below the water. That's what it means. She's 10 feet deep into the water. Alex?
So it says that Dominique is scuba diving 50 feet below sea level, and it says that Macy is playing soccer 30 feet
Mm-hmm. You got it. Absolutely. So what's 40 feet above this? Well, if you're not sure how to find that, how far is Dylan from the top of the water, the edge of the water? How far is Dylan from the top of the water? Dylan?
50.
Would you agree that the distance from Dylan to the top of the water is 50 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if we know that Macy is 40 of those feet above, wouldn't that be a subtraction problem, guys? We'll talk more about how to remember that here in a little bit. Dominique, yeah, same thing. Yes. Okay? So yeah, you don't really worry about the negatives. All you're worrying about is you're saying, well, if it's 50 here, what would 40 feet above that be? It would be 10, but we know it's negative because it's below 0. Is that making sense? Now, that's all great, all wonderful if you understand that. Okay, now you're going to have to draw this on the test. Okay? You're going to have to draw this. And we're going to practice today. But the real question is going to be, I'm going to ask you this type of question. I'm going to say, what is the vertical distance, which just means the distance, between, and I could give you any different person here. I could say the distance between Dylan and Mr. Zenker. We'll just start there. Okay, so I'm going to say between Zenker and Dylan, Dominique, same thing. Okay? What do you guys think? How would you figure that out? I want you guys to think for just a moment. What do you think, Cedric? Okay, so Cedric says that the answer to this question was 200 feet. Who agrees? Who disagrees? Let me ask that. Does anybody disagree? You do? Okay. What is it then?
What, are we subtracting them or adding them?
Well, you tell me. That's what you have to figure out.
I thought we were subtracting them.
Let me give you a real easy way to remember this, guys. Okay? Let's say Dylan's down here. What's he doing again? Scuba diving, right? He's scuba diving. He all of a sudden sees his favorite teacher, Mr. Zenker, up there in the airplane from the water. It's possible. Trust me. Okay? How far is Dylan going to have to swim up just to where he's out of the water? How far is he going to have to swim? Yes. He's going to have to swim 50 feet. Now, he's still got some distance to go to get to Mr. Zenker, right? So how much farther is he going to have to travel to get up to there then? Yes? 150 feet. So when you guys ask the question, do I add or subtract? Well, what do you think? You got to add it, right? Now, putting this into, let's bring this back now to what we've been learning about real quick here. What did we just add? What is that called? What is that called? Think back to last Thursday. Right now? Do we agree that we are figuring out how far it is from 0? So what's that called, that distance that a number is to 0, Jimmy? Absolute values. That's all this is about. So do you see how Dylan is 50 feet? That's the absolute value, right, guys? And Mr. Zenker's absolute value is 150 feet, right? Right? So we know we have to add those. Now we'll do another one real quick. Think about it. How far apart is Kylie and how far apart is Macy? The question would say, what is the vertical distance? Now we'll take out Zenker and Dylan. We'll put in Macy and Kylie. What's the vertical distance between Macy and Kylie, guys? Think about it. I made them real easy numbers this time. Anybody know? Anybody want to take a shot? Aiden? Macy and Kylie, how far are... I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Cole. He said 110. Does anybody disagree? He said the answer was 110. Does everybody agree? Be honest. Don't be afraid to oppose. Meaning, you can disagree. Joseph, what do you disagree with on that?
Okay, well, on that one we added them. So we're going to add 50, right?
Got it.
130.
130 feet. So let's talk about this for a minute. Macy's down playing soccer, right? Underneath the water, correct? How far is she going to travel just to get back to the top of the water? Like, how far is she going to have to travel just in that moment? Yes?
She would probably already be drowned, but 10 feet.
Yes. Good. Okay? Now, she wants to get up there. She loves Kylie. She misses her. She wants to hang out with her and wants to float with her. Okay? So she goes 10 feet. She's finally out of the water. Her head's bobbing in the water, okay? How much farther is she going to have to travel to get up to where Kylie is? Cedric? 120 feet. So think about it. She has traveled 10 feet. She then traveled another 120 feet. So how many feet? What's the total vertical distance between Kylie and Macy is 130 feet. Everybody got that?
Yes, wait.
All right. Now let's go ahead and diagram this one. What makes this one a little bit easier than the one we just did previously? Can anyone tell me? Yes, Jimmy.
You're not comparing two numbers to each other.
Okay, I kind of see what you're saying. So basically, we're telling you actually where they're going to be on the line instead of having you have to do any math to figure it out, right? Okay. So the first one says Sanaya is skydiving at 200 feet above sea level. Guys, what's my very first step? I always need to do this.
Put the sea level.
Yes, you got to make sure you have your sea level put in there, okay? That's our ground level or sea level there, okay? So I'm going to put that at sea level, okay? And that's 0, right, guys? Okay? All right, let's plot Sanaya. She's skydiving at 200 feet above sea level. Where would that be on this number line? Jimmy?
Near the top.
Okay, like right here? Okay, I agree. Let's put an S for Sanaya, and she's at 200 feet, right, guys?
Yep.
Okay. Now, Ellie is unicorn back riding at 40 feet above sea level. Where would that be at? Hayden?
That'll most likely be like a little bit above 0 or just
A little above 0, yeah. Just as long as you have it above here, like he said, it's not really important if you have the plotting of it exactly down, but make sure you have it in the general area, okay? And that's Ellie. And she's at 40 feet above sea level. Okay? All right, next we have Jimmy playing tag with a shark, which is never a good thing. At 60 feet below sea level. Where am I going to put that one, you guys? Where's that going to go? Joseph?
-60 under the water.
Okay, so what'd you say about right here?
About right there.
Right there, okay? And that's Jimmy there. And he's at, you said what? -60?
Yep.
Very good. All right, and then finally we have Elijah spearfishing at 90 feet below sea level. Where's that going to be on our number line? Cedric? Yeah, it's going to be below where Jimmy is, correct? Okay? Now, some people, I don't know if I walked around and saw, but make sure that you don't have Elijah right here. You got to make sure Elijah's down here, okay? Because he's at -90. Because he's 90 feet below sea level. Okay? Make sure yours looks like this. Oh, sorry.
Here. Now I'm going to add a couple questions to this here. Okay? So this is that's part of it. The drawing of it's important. Now I made this one pretty easy because I didn't put that, like, do you see how Ellie was at 40 feet above sea level? It won't always tell you what they are above or below sea level. Sometimes I'll say Ellie is unicorn back riding at 40 feet below Sanaya. And then that'll be a little different, but we'll do one of those in a minute. Here's the questions you guys need to be able to answer right now. What is the vertical distance between Sanaya and Jimmy? And number 2, what is the vertical distance between, who's that?
Elijah and Ellie.
Ellie and Elijah. You guys need to figure that out now. Listen up. Okay, so what is the vertical distance? Now, I still see people drawing. I still see people doing other things. Be with me so we can understand this. Let's really understand this, because it's not a really hard, new, and it's a different way of thinking. Okay? if I want to know the vertical distance between Sanaya and Elijah, or I'm sorry, and Jimmy, Sanaya and Jimmy right here, I highlight them both green, okay, we've got to think about this in terms of if Sanaya wanted to go see Jimmy or if Jimmy wanted to go see Sanaya. So we know that Jimmy's down there, what's he doing down there again? Playing tag. Sanaya's up there skydiving. So if Jimmy's down playing tag and he wants to swim to the surface of the water, how far is Jimmy going to have to travel just to get to the edge of the water, Myra?
60.
60 feet. We got to make sure we say feet. And then how much farther is he going to have to travel to get up to where Sanaya is? 200 feet. Good. Right? And since he traveled 60 to get to the water and 200 to get up to her, are we going to add those or subtract those? We're going to add those together. Now you can think about it a different way. Another way that I've taught it in the past that maybe will make more sense. Let's say that Sanaya and Jimmy want to hang out together, okay? And they say, let's meet at the sea level. It's kind of like, hey, meet me at the rave. I don't know. Okay, meet me here. We're going to meet at the water. I'll meet you right there where we can float around and whatever, okay? So how far is Sanaya going to go just to get to where the meeting point is? This right here is representing the meeting point. This is where they are meeting. How far is Sanaya going to have to travel to get there, Tyler? She's going to have to travel 200 feet. How far is Jimmy going to have to travel to get up to the meeting point? 60 feet, right? So again, if you're adding the distances both of them travel, then that's definitely going to be 260 feet. Are we understanding this? Okay. Now, so I'm going to go ahead and write 260 here, 260 feet. Now let's figure out the vertical distance between Ellie and Elijah. Again, you can think about it. Maybe Ellie's up there riding her unicorn. She said, you know what? I really want to go down and go spearfishing. I like that. Okay? So she's like, hey, yo, Elijah, can you set me up with some spearfishing? He says, yeah, come on down. Okay, so Ellie has to travel how far just to get to where she's ready to jump into the water? Yes. She's going to have to travel 40 feet. How much farther is she going to have to travel then to get down to where he's down there catching fish with a spear? Yeah?
130 feet?
No, you're not answering the
Oh,
correct.
well,
90, right? And now if Ellie has to travel 40 to go there and 90 to go there, guys, it's all about absolute values, right? When you're going across zero, we're going to talk about this, something Mr. Zenker came up with last year that helps you to remember. But whenever you're going across zero, you're going to be adding. So I'm going to do 90 plus 40. That's going to mean that they have a total distance of 130 feet apart. Everybody got that?
Yep.
Okay, now, here's another question for you. We are going to figure out what the distance between Sanaya and Ellie is. So we're going to figure out that vertical distance there. Aditi?
Can I tell the answer?
Yes, please.
160.
160 feet. Now, how did you know that? How did you find that it was 160? Why are you drawing it? You need.
I was curious.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It's right there.
What's that?
Okay. Aditi,
I just subtracted 200 from 40.
you got it. 200 minus 40. Okay, that's going to give us the distance in between there and there. We're going to take that distance, 200. We're going to subtract the 40 to figure out how far she is. We know that between there and there would be 160 feet. Do you guys understand that? Okay. The way that Mr. Zenker came up with last year that I really like is when we did the other ones, do you agree we had to go across zero? You guys remember that?
Yeah.
And do you agree on this last one we did, we were on the same side? The vertical distance. So if we're finding vertical distance and we got to go across zero, so what I mean by that is Sanaya going to Jimmy. Do you see what across starts with?
Yep.
Add.
Oh.
You add the absolute values, right? When you stay on the same side, meaning from Jimmy to Elijah, same starts with what? So we subtract. Does that help? Does that help you with a little reminder? So when we're going across zero, we add the absolute values. When we are staying on the same side of zero, we are subtracting the absolute values. Everybody got that?
Yep.
Okay.
Like,
Okay, so Kaylin is flying a kite at 50 feet above the sea level. So the first thing I've got to do is I got to put sea level on there, right, everybody? So I put my water. We know that's considered 0 feet. Put SL for sea level. Nobody should be drawing this. You should be listening. I got 1 minute, so please stay with me. Okay? Kaylin is flying a kite 50 feet above sea level. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put it there. But that's 50 feet above sea level. Pretty easy there. Okay? Now, Owen is riding a flamingo 20 feet above the kite. So who can tell me? Where is Owen riding the flamingo? Based on the number line. Don't just say above this or above that. I want to know specifically, what integer would that be? Jimmy? Do you guys agree 70 feet?
Yes, sir.
Do you agree that's where Owen is riding the flamingo? Sure. Guys, quit packing up.
Rude.
It's so rude. Okay, now Cedric is entertaining 20 feet below the sea level. That's pretty easy, right? Negative 20. Is that pretty easy? Cedric. Okay, now Big Will is being Big Will 40 feet below Cedric. So where is Big Will going to be at in the water? Where is he, yes? Tw- 40 feet below Cedric, right? So 40 feet below him, right? So what's that going to be? What number is that going to be on the number line? What I need to know. Good. Not 60, but negative 60, right? Negative 60. Did everybody see how that one worked? So that was a little bit different because I didn't just give you the above or the below sea levels. I gave you the object below the other object or above the other object. You guys see that? Real quick. What would be the vertical distance between Big Will and Kaylin? Who can do that? Or at least tell me how. What would be the vertical distance between Big Will and Kaylin? What would that one be? How many feet are they apart? Tyler?
60 plus 50.
60 plus 50, 110. How far apart are Owen and Cedric? Or how would you find Snaya? They are 90. They are 90. No. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 90. Yeah, jeez. Yes, 90 because it would be 20 back to 0 and then another 70. Is everybody understanding this?
Yes, sir.
All right, good. Let's start this. If I'm making a vertical number line, what two numbers do I need to put on this? Or more. I mean, I could put 0 to negative 5,000 if I wanted to, but it's unnecessary. What two numbers do I definitely have to put on this? Rashida?
0.
Okay, you don't have to, but you could.
3 and 4.
Integers. Whole numbers. Positive, negative whole numbers.
3.
Okay, that's not 3, but
Negative 3.
negative 3. Would you guys agree those are the two that I would need? Because do you agree that those two rational mixed numbers, do you agree that they both fall between negative 3 and negative 4? So you could put any number you wanted, but at least you got to have that. Now, what do we know about all numbers that are farther to the right? What are all numbers farther to the right on a number line? They are always greater. They're always larger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have my little highlighter here. I'm going to highlight this one in green. I'll highlight this one in yellow. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and make this a decimal. Pretty easy. 1 divided by 4, right, everybody? And 3 divided by 4 would give us 0.75. So there. Now, who can describe to me where that would go on my number line? And I'll do that with a green highlighter. Let's go, Emma. Okay, so she's saying between those two and a little bit closer, probably about a quarter of the way to negative 4, right? Makes sense. Where would negative 3 and 0.25 or negative 3 and 1/4 go, yeah? Or negative 3 and 3/4, what I meant. Sorry. It would be 3/4 the way that way. Is everybody seeing that? So it's hard because you guys have always been taught that that number right there is larger. But now it's the opposite when it's negative. So the farther you go left makes it smaller. So we know right away this one's larger, so it must be trying to eat the negative 3 1/4. Right? I want to record this. Okay, so I'll read through it again so that we're all on the same page. Kylie Jenner was pretending to be a birdie at 100 feet above sea level. Anna is jump roping at 40 feet below Kylie Jenner. Justin Pepperoni is chasing a fish at 25 feet below the sea level. And Taylor Swift is having a dance party 45 feet below pepperoni. Okay? So, we know right now that is considered, we're going to start by putting our number line at 0. We're going to put 0 right in the middle. Now, remember, 0 feet is representing sea level. That's what we're going to call it. It can also be called ground level. Okay? But 0 is representing where we're talking. Like when we're saying 40 feet above what? Well, we're talking about sea level, where the water level is. So where the water is. Okay? So I like to draw it, and we're also going to label it. You're going to notice that as I go through these, we are going to have, I'm going to put whatever's happening on the left, I'm going to put the numbers on the right. This little blue squiggly, that's just the wave, if you didn't figure that out, the water. Okay? Now we're going to go through and we are going to draw this situation. Okay? Where is Kylie Jenner going to be on this number line? Specifically, don't say right about there. You got to give me somewhere. Like on the number line. Rashida. Right above the C?
Oh, it's not in our school.
So she's saying all the way at the top, which is fine, but I need specifics. Because remember, we're talking about a vertical number line, so I want to know where at on that number line is Kylie, or Kylie, where she is doing her little birdie routine. Kyla?
100 feet above.
You got, and that would be at positive 100 feet. Does everybody agree? So this is Kylie Jenner. There she is. Everybody good there so far? Okay, good. All right, so now we got to go to Anna. And she's a jump roper, evidently. Okay? A jumper roper. A jumper rope.
No.
A jump roper?
Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's
I think it's a jumper roper.
No.
All right, okay. So, we know Anna's jumping rope. Now, we need to know specifically where at on that number line is she jumping rope. Think about it. Everybody should be trying to think about this right now. Where is she on that number line? Hope. So she said 40 feet above sea level. So I'm going to put that on there. Who agrees that Anna is jumping rope at 40 feet above sea level? Okay. If you agree, if you agree, you would be incorrect. Now, I'm really glad that Hope said this because it's not that we're trying to embarrass her. We're not, because that right there, you guys just witnessed the mistake that I see 6th graders make every single year. So thank you for getting it wrong, because that is actually very helpful, because when we learn from mistakes, it's usually when we learn the best. You shouldn't be writing anything or drawing. Okay? So here's why. It doesn't say Anna is jumping rope at 40 feet above sea level. If it said that, would Hope have been right? If it said Anna is jumping rope at 40 feet above sea level, would Hope have been correct? If it would have said Anna is jumping rope 40 feet above the sea level, that is where she would be jumping rope at 40 feet above the sea level. She is not jumping at 40 feet above the sea level. Where is Anna jumping rope at? The sentence says 40 feet below Kylie Jenner. Hope, I'm going to give you a chance to read. Answer. Okay, so where is that going to be on the number line then? Like what height? I'm looking for elevation. What elevation? And if you don't know, I can come back to you. I'll come back. It's okay. Allison? She says 60 feet. Does anybody disagree with that? Okay, so how did you get 60 feet on that, Allison? How did you know that? She knew that she had to do 100 because it says right here, she is jumping rope at 40 feet below where Kylie Jenner is. If Kylie Jenner is 100 feet in the air and Anna is 40 feet below her, we know that Anna must be at 60 feet. Does that make sense, guys? Let's keep going. Justin Pepperoni is chasing a fish at 25 feet below sea level. Who can explain to me where Justin is? Where is Justin at? Yes? Yes. He says that he is at negative 25 feet. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
But wait a minute, I thought we couldn't have negative distance. I thought we didn't have negative distance. Isn't feet a distance?
Yes.
Okay, so why does that say negative 25? Yes. Because we're talking about a number line, right?
Yeah.
Can I travel negative 25 feet?
No.
No. But can I travel 25 feet up or 25 feet down?
Yes.
And if I go below the water, then I'm going to negative elevation. Doesn't mean I'm traveling negatively. You guys understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, so that is where Peroni is. Okay, that is where he's at. He's at negative 25 feet, right? Now let's go to Taylor Swift. What is she doing? Taylor Swift is having a dance party 45 feet below Pepper Peroni. Okay, so where is Taylor Swift, Christian?
70 feet below sea level.
What?
70 feet below sea level.
Which would be what on the number line?
Negative 70.
Negative 70 feet. Everybody got that? Yes. Okay. Now, who disagrees with Christian on T-Swizzle?
Never seen her again.
That's her nickname, isn't it? Okay,
No.
sorry. T-Swift. That's what I call her. All right. So, how did we know that it was negative 70? Or does somebody disagree? Anybody disagree? Okay. All right, so how did we know that? How did you know that it was negative 70? That's the elevation she's at. She's having her dance party down here at negative 70. Petey?
25 plus 45.
It's 25 plus 45. So you don't have to worry about the fact that they're negatives. All we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out what's 45 more feet down into the water, right? So if Peroni is 25 feet into the water, that means another 45, we would just do 25 plus 45 to get 70, which is actually negative 70 because we're in the ground. Has everybody got that?
Yes.
You guys are going to have to do that. Notice how I have my numbers, my elevation, how far above sea level and below sea level. I have those on the right of my number line. I have whatever's happening at those levels on the left, or the names of the person. Everybody got that? Now, that's not all you're going to have to do. Okay? After this, there's going to be a series of questions on the test. Everybody please listen. Okay? Those questions are going to say something like this. What is the vertical distance between Kylie and T. Taylor Swift? Okay? Or it might say, what is the distance, what is the vertical distance between Peroni, I spelled that wrong, and Anna. So, I want you guys to think about it real quick. Take 2 seconds to think. Go. Okay, so we've got to be able to figure out the vertical distance. What that means is how far they are apart. The reason we call it vertical distance is because we're talking about elevation. Elevation is vertical, right? Okay, so I'm going to highlight these so we can better see them. So we're talking about Kylie Jenner. We're talking about the distance from Kylie Jenner and all the way to Taylor Swift, right? So I'll put those back in both in yellow. So we'll start there. Okay? Now, here's how I teach this. Now, you're going to be able to make a connection, hopefully, here in a moment. You with me? Let's say that Taylor Swift is down here. Now, you know what? Let's say that Kylie Jenner's up here pretending to be a bird. And since Kylie Jenner likes to dance, okay? You with me? She likes to dance. All of a sudden, she hears that Taylor Swift down there is having a dance party. She wants to go to the dance party. We need to figure out how far she's going to have to ride that bird into the water. Or, I guess she's not riding a bird. She's pretending how far she's going to have to fly to get to that dance party. So, here's how we're going to think about this here. So, stay with me. How far is Kylie going to have to pretend to be a bird just to get to where she's in the water? How far is she going to have to fall or fly down, I guess? Gianna? Does everybody agree that she's going to have to fall 100 feet?
Yeah.
Now, is she at the dance party yet?
No.
So is this going to be greater than 100?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much farther is she now going to go down to be able to get to Taylor Swift's dance party? Rashida? 70 feet. So what do we got to do with those two numbers now? What do you think we have to do? Ron? We're going to have to add those two numbers. So would you agree the answer to the question is going to be, the vertical distance is going to be 170 feet?
Yeah.
Do we agree?
Yeah.
Now I want you to think about it. Real quick, of those two highlighted numbers, what did I just add together? Try to relate it back to last week here, guys. Relate it back to last week. What did I just add? Yes.
100 plus 7.
Right, but what's that got to do with last week? Hey, Ron.
I'm gonna go with the absolute value.
Absolute value, right? Everybody got that? Don't you agree that Kylie Jenner's absolute value is 100? Hello?
Yes.
And don't you agree that Taylor Swift's absolute value is 70?
Yes.
So if you're trying to figure out a vertical distance, you have to add the two absolute values together. Has everybody got that? See that? So real quick now to answer the second part, we know that we're trying to get Peroni and Anna together. Okay? So, let's say, what's Anna doing? She jump roping. Alright, so the Peroni man, he gets bored. He can't catch the fish. He's too slow. Okay, so all of a sudden he's like, you know what? I can't catch fish. I give up. I quit. I want to learn how to jump rope. And I heard Anna's the best jump rope teacher out there. Right? Okay, good. How far is Peroni going to have to travel? How far is he going to have to swim just to get back up to where he's out of the water, Emma?
25.
He's going to have to travel 25 feet. How much farther is he going to have to travel then to get up to where Anna is giving jump rope lessons? Caitlin? So what am I going to do with those two distances now to figure out the total distance between Anna and Peroni? Yes? We're going to add them together. So when we do that, we would learn that they would be 85 feet apart. Make sense? Okay? Now, let's say that the question asks something different. What if it said, what is the vertical distance between these two people? What would you do? If it said, what is the vertical distance between Kylie and Anna? How would you figure that out? Tiffany?
You could subtract 60.
You would do 100 minus 60. Okay? What about if I was trying to figure out Swift and Peroni, how far apart they are? Yes?
You could subtract 25 from 70.
You got it. Do we have to worry about the negatives? It has nothing to do with the positives or the negatives. Negatives, adding and subtracting negatives, is 7th grade. You'll learn that next year. Right now, all we're concerned with is being able to say, well, if I know it's 70 feet back to the water, 25 of those feet is Peroni, so I'm going to do 70 minus 25. That's where I'm going to get 45 feet. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
So here's my little, you guys know what a mnemonic device is? A mnemonic device?
No.
Basically what it is, it's like a little saying or a song or a little acronym. You guys know what an acronym is?
No.
Like OHS, which stands for Owen Tangy High School, or
Yeah.
OSMS. Okay, so a mnemonic device is something that helps you remember something. So I'm going to give you one of those. Okay? Whenever you are trying to find a vertical distance, and that vertical distance in the two objects has to go across 0, what does across start with?
A.
You add the absolute values. When it goes across 0, when you have to cross over 0, you are going to add the absolute values. When you stay on the same side of 0, what are you going to do with the absolute values, guys? Yeah? Subtract. Does that help? So if you're staying on one side of the sea level, you're going to subtract the absolute values. If you have to travel from one side all the way up to another side, you're going to add the absolute value. So across and same side. Across 0, same side as 0. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
All right, let's do another. Okay? All right, so obviously the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put 0 on there, 0 feet, because that's representing the sea level. Some of you are doing it with the waves. I'm fine either way. I don't care, just as long as you're doing it. That would be my sea level. Now we're going to read it. Rashida is recording an album at 200 feet above sea level. Now, it gives me the feet above sea level, so I know Rashida's up here at 200 feet, right?
Yes.
And that's going to be Rashida. Okay? All right. So now, what Killa was trying to learn to fly 50 feet above Rashida. This is where a lot of you, I'm seeing two things. These are wrong. I saw some of you putting Kyla at 50 feet. Is that correct?
No.
If it would have been Kyla, would have been there. She would have been 50 feet above sea level. Do you guys see the difference? Okay, so it's not sea level. She's 50 feet above where Rashida is. So if Rashida's up there recording an album at 200 feet, then we got to make sure we put Kyla up here at 250 feet. Is everybody seeing that? Understanding that? So that is where Kyla is, okay? Now, the other thing I saw people doing is I saw people putting her at 150. Okay, that would be if she was if she was 50 feet below where Rashida was recording her album. Everybody got that? Okay, now let's go to the negatives. Okay, it says Billy Bob Joe is driving a Camaro at 30 feet below sea level. Now it says below sea level, so we know right here. The biggest thing I'm seeing you guys do, BB. Okay, Billy Bob Joe, I see a lot of people just putting 30. Guys, on a number line, would that just be 30? No, that has to be negative 30 because negatives on a number line, we got to put them. Now, the next one is the one that got a lot of you. A lot of you missed this next one, and I'll show you why. It says Mr. Garrison is running from an octopus named Tiffany at 40 feet below Billy Bob Joe. Okay. So a lot of you, this is the mistake. I'll put the wrong in red. A lot of you are just simply doing negative 40. Okay? That is wrong. It doesn't, if it would have said 40 feet below SL, then yeah, that's where I would be running from that octopus named Tiffany. I would have been there. I would have been at 40 feet below sea level. That's not what it says. So we've got to think in terms of, okay, if Billy Bob Joe is at 30 feet below sea level, I need to figure out 40 feet below that. Now remember, we're going to add on to that, right guys? Because we're got to think about counting negative. Okay, so where's that going to be? What is it? Negative 70, right? And that is going to be where I am. Okay, everybody got that? Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, now you have to answer the following questions. So now, we're talking about vertical distance. Whenever we're talking about vertical distance, right there, that word right there, vertical distance, remember this. Across, if you have to go across 0, you add. If you have to stay on the same side of 0, you subtract. Right, guys? So if I'm figuring out the vertical distance between Rashida and Mr. Garrison, so maybe Mr. Garrison just really wants to get on that track, you know? Like he wants to get on that album. Would you have me on your album? Remix? Can you put me on that, please? I want to be, thank you. Okay, so I'm down there running from Tiffany, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I hear Rashida singing. And I'm like, she told me I could be on one of her new latest hot tracks. So she says, hey, Mr. Garrison, come on up. Take the first swim up and then jump, I guess. Okay, so I'm going up to record my album with her. Think about it here. How far am I going to have to swim up just to get back to where that sea level is, Anna?
70.
I'm going to have to go 70 feet. How much farther am I going to go to finally get up to, wrong person. How much farther am I going to have to go to get up to the recording studio? PD, I'm going to have to go 200. Since I went across 0, what am I talking about? Adding the absolute values, right? So that would be 270 feet. Okay? And then for this person, what's Billy Bob? He's driving his Camaro. Let's see, Kill's up there trying to, what is she trying to do? I forget.
Trying to let it fly.
She's trying to learn how to fly. She all of a sudden says, forget flying, it's boring. I want to ride in a Camaro. Okay? So how far is she going to have to go just to get back to sea level? Kyla? 250 feet. How much farther is she going to go to have to jump in there with Billy Bob Joe to get into his Camaro with Hope? 30. Since we went across 0, are we going to be adding the absolute values?
Yeah.
Do you see how that's just absolute values, guys? Okay. Now, what if I asked the question like this? What if I said, what is the vertical distance between, and I said Rashida and Kyla? How would I figure that out now? How would I figure that out? Because these numbers are real basic right now, if you haven't noticed. They're going to get more challenging. Stella? You would subtract because you stayed on the same side. So you would say, okay, Rashida's at 250. Killa is at 200. I'm going to do 250 minus 200. Their vertical distance is 50 feet apart, which was given in the question too, by the way. Everybody got that? Okay, let's do another one. So here's our question. Lindsay is making a salad at 155 feet above sea level. Caitlin is looking for seashells 75 feet below the sea level. Mr. Garrison is dressing up his dog at 25 feet below Lindsay. And Arnold was being attacked by some turtles 30 feet above where Caitlin is. Now, what's the first thing that should go on that number line, first of all? Let's start there. What should I put on there first and foremost, Tiffany?
0.
Got to put 0 on there. That's just representing the sea level, right, guys? Because that's what everything's based on, where the water begins and ends, okay? Let's talk about the first sentence. Lindsay is making a salad at 155 feet above sea level, okay? So where's Lindsay making her salad at on this number line? Be specific. Hope?
155 above the sea level.
You got it. So we know it's going to be 155 feet right there, and we know that's going to be Lindsay and her salad. Okay? Now we go to Caitlin is looking for seashells 75 feet below the sea level. Where's that going to be at on that, Aisha?
30.
We're right here. Caitlin is looking for seashells 75 feet below the sea level.
75.
So what would that be? Not 75, but what?
Negative.
Negative 75 feet. And that is who? Caitlin. Okay. Did I spell that right, by the way?
Kaitly.
Yep, I knew it. Okay, now we've got the first two. Now we're on to Mr. Garrison. So for those of you that, I put these in a little different order. Please stop. We never doing that. Okay, and there we go. There's Mr. Garrison. Now, where's Mr. Garrison going to be? Give me a description of where Mr. Garrison is going to be dressing up his dog. Caroline. Give me a little description of where you think where Mr. Garrison is going to be doing his dog dress-up activities. So if Lindsay's right here, do you agree Mr. Garrison's going to be somewhere below her? Okay, so what specifically? I didn't know what number, what spot on the vertical number line is she going to be, or is he going to be doing this? I'll come back to you. Rashida? She said 130. Does anybody disagree? Hello?
No.
I hope we're not backing up. Do we agree with that or no? Is 130 feet, 25 feet below Lindsay?
Yes.
So this is Mr. Garrison. Everybody agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. And then finally, Arnold was being attacked by turtles 30 feet above where Caitlin is. Where is Arnold being attacked by turtles? This one's a hard one. This is where I think is the hardest one. Petey?
40. No, negative 40.
She said negative 40. Does anybody disagree with that? Who disagrees? We do disagree? Okay, what, Allison, how do we disagree?
Oh, I thought it was 30. Wait, just.
So this should have been 45, right?
Oh, I knew that.
Now, how do we know that? Well, we know that this is Arnold right here. Listen, please. We know that if Caitlin's at negative 75, that means 30 feet above that would be at negative 45. So, you just got to kind of use your clues here. That could be a subtraction. 75 minus 30. Regardless of that, it's negative. That doesn't matter. Everybody understand that? Do you think some of my students might put Arnold at negative 30? You see why they would do that? Yeah. Or they might even put him up here at 30 up here because they see the word above. Right? Okay, so that's where it's at. So, real quick, what is the vertical distance between Lindsay and Arnold? Lindsay and Arnold. Who wants to talk me through it? What is the vertical distance between Lindsay and Arnold? What do you guys think? Ron.
I'm gonna go with 200 feet.
He says 200 feet. Let's talk about it. So we know Arnold, how many, if Arnold want to go up there and play wait, is it Lindsay?
Yeah.
So Arnold really, really wants a salad, and you know Lindsay makes the best salad. How far is Arno, I guess? Uh-oh. How far is Arnold going to have to travel just to get to the edge of the water, Emma?
25.
And how much farther is he going to have to go to get up to Salad World? Petey? 155 feet. So what do you need to do with those two distances? We need to add them up. That's going to give us what? 200 feet, right? Sit, please. Okay. What's the vertical distance between Mr. Garrison and Caitlin? Huh? How far is Caitlin going to have to travel just to get up to dress up her dog? 75 feet. How much farther is she going to have to travel to get to me? So we're going to add those, right? Now, if I'm trying to figure out the vertical distance between Lindsay and Mr. Garrison, what am I going to do? No. Subtract. Same side, subtract. Across, 0, add. And you're adding or subtracting the absolute values. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So here's our next question. We have Harrison is jumping for joy when he learned Mr. Garrison named his daughter Harrison and was 50 feet above sea level. Donald Trump was flying in a plane at 120 feet above sea level. Bill Nye the Science Guy was in a submarine at 40 feet below sea level making meatloaf. And Yamanika was swimming with the sharks and got swallowed whole at 6 feet below Bill Nye. By far the weirdest one of the day. Thank you. Hold up. Okay, now, we got to get serious here. Because we've got to be able to figure, this is the part of it. That's the fun part. Now we've got to figure out how we're going to do this because you will have to do this on a test. Everybody hear me? Only it may not be something ridiculous. It just might be a helicopter. It might be a bird. It might be an octopus. I don't know what it's going to be. Okay? Okay. All right. So first thing we've got to do is we've got to diagram this. Okay? We got to diagram this. So how do we diagram this situation? What do we use to help us to diagram it? Make a picture. Yes.
A vertical number line.
A vertical number line, because that's what it is. When we're talking about elevation, imagine if you were able to look like if you were able to be in space. Okay? Yeah, space isn't a good example. It's hard. I'm trying to say, yeah, maybe like in the sky. That's not good either. I don't know how I want to say this. But regardless, you're basically able to see everything in the sky at a certain height, and you're actually also able to see into the water. So that's what you're looking at. Okay, so what's the first thing that needs to go on this number line? What is the very first thing that we need to make sure we put on this number line, Sammy? 0. We need to put 0 there. Now, look how, you guys are going to see how I'm doing this, and I did it like this on the video, in the original video. But we're going to put the actual 0 feet. Now, what does 0 feet mean? What does it mean when we're talking about elevation like this, Tatum? Sea level. So I do this a couple different ways. Sometimes I might do something like this, kind of showing, what's that, you think? Water. That's where that's where the water starts, and below that would be water. Or we can just write SL, or if you wanted to, you could write sea level out. Everybody got me so far?
Yes.
Okay. Again, I don't want you writing this. I just want you listening right now. Okay? So now we're going to put all these pieces of information on our number line. So let's just read through. Harrison jumped for joy when he learned. And when he jumped, he was 50 feet above the sea level. So where on that number line is Harrison going to be right now? Where is he going to be, Nixon?
50 feet.
He's going to be up here at 50 feet. Does everybody agree? Now, does it? Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and put Harrison. Notice how on the right side of the number line, I'm putting the number of feet, right? On the left side, I'm putting the person that's just listening right now. Just listening right now. You don't have to draw this one out. I'd just rather you just be listening, trying to understand it. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, so the number line obviously goes positives up and then negatives down, right? Okay, so we know that Harrison is at 50 feet above the sea level. Here's sea level, 50 feet up. There you go. That's where Harrison is, right? Agreed? Now, we know that Donald Trump was flying in a plane at 120 feet above sea level. So somebody explain to me, where is Donald Trump at? Basically, if I'm looking right here, where is he going to be at, Reese? He's going to be up here above Harrison at what? He's going to be up here at 120 feet. Now, clearly, Is my spacing really correct there?
No.
No, because that's 70 feet right there, right? And then that's 50. But it's not really about spacing completely. I mean, you can't be way off, but it's really not about the spacing. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
So we know that Harrison jumped up from here. He jumped. It's a great picture of Harrison. He jumped up, and now he's there. Right, guys? Trump left, his plane took off, and now he's there. Does everybody understand that? Okay. They're that many feet above sea level. Now let's go to Bill Nye. He's down there, being the science guy, and he's in a submarine at 40 feet below sea level. So what is Bill Nye? Where's he at on this number line? Like, give me a description, a sentence about where he is, Laney.
He is 40, well, negative 40 feet.
So he's at negative 40 feet, right? Notice how I put negatives on there. A lot of people just want to leave that as 40, right, everybody? But is that correct? No, because when we're doing a number line, numbers below 0, or if it's horizontal to the left of 0, have to be negative, right? Okay, everybody got that? Okay, so I know that's going to be negative 40 feet, and that is where Bill Nye is. Okay, now we've got to go to Yamanika. Okay, I'm not even sure who that is, but she's swimming with the sharks, and unfortunately, she got swallowed whole. Okay? At 60 feet below sea level. So who wants, or below Bill Nye? So who wants to describe to me where Yamanika is? How many times do I get asked? Carter.
She is 60 feet below Bill.
Okay, so where at? I understand she's down there, but Grace, where is she?
She is 60 feet, negative 60 feet below sea level.
Right here? Yes? Okay, does anybody disagree with her? Does anybody disagree? So we have some disagreeers, if that's a word. Now, I'm going to say this. You guys that have your hand up are all absolutely correct. Now, my intention wasn't to embarrass Grace or anything like that. I'm actually very happy that she just said that. I'm very glad, because that's the mistake. And if there was anybody else in the room that agreed with her and thought it was negative 60, hopefully you're like, oh, or if you haven't yet, maybe it will click here in just a second. Okay, so please be listening with the lid on. Okay? Why is that incorrect? But every year I have students think that, yeah, Yamanika is at negative 60. Who wants to explain it? Justin.
If you look, it says 60 feet below Bill Nye, not below sea level.
Absolutely. Did you guys see that? It's really a reading thing. This is really, you could almost make the argument, guys, that this stuff is more reading, like an English type of question, than it is actually a math question, or at least it's 50-50. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
You've got to understand that it doesn't say, as Justin said, it doesn't say 60 feet below sea level. If it would have said that, Grace, she would have been absolutely correct, right? So actually, where is it on the number line? Where is Yamanika? Where is she at? Sammy?
Negative 100.
Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
All right. Good. So there's Yamanika. I'll just put Yam. Okay? Because 60 feet farther down from 40 would put us at negative 100. You guys just diagrammed it. Very nice job. Now, there are some questions that could be asked. This is what the questions will look like. I will type them so you'll see. On the test, yes, you'll have to diagram it. You'll have to do that. But the real point of this isn't just to draw a picture. That helps. The picture is what's going to help us to find answers. So, I'm going to make that a little smaller. Okay, can we still see it? No?
Whoa. I'm sorry. I have.
That was amazing.
I'm gonna make it bigger.
What did he do? Well, he just like, do I increase?
Okay.
Right now.
Okay, now this is really what it comes down to. Being able to figure out what the distance is between these objects. Without a picture, this would be very difficult. I'm not sure, once again, why I see lids off of markers I think I've had to remind people about 5 and 6 and 7 times. Please be with me. I know some of you might help you to write it down, but there's nothing to write down now. Okay? Need you with me, understanding. Okay, so vertical distance. All vertical, the only reason it says, because it could just say distance, but it's specifically talking vertical because we are doing a vertical number line, right? How far apart are they? Okay? How far apart are they? So in this one, when I'm asking for what is the vertical distance between Yamanika and Trump, I'm saying, what is the distance? How far are they apart? Okay, now I want you to think about this with me. So this is how I teach this, and I think you guys will think this is easy once you just listen to me, listen up. Yes, please. Okay. Oh, let me do that. Okay. So, let's say this. You guys agree that I'm trying to figure out how far it is from her all the way to Trump. Do you guys agree with that? So here's how I teach this, and it's all going to relate back to something we've already done. So listen up. Okay. Let's say, what's Yamanika doing down here? Getting swallowed by sharks. That sounds like a fun hobby, I guess. So Donald Trump says, yeah, I'll try it. You're fired. Okay, so he wants to go down and visit Yamanika. Okay, everybody got that? He wants to go visit her. So in order for his plane to visit Yamanika, how many feet? How many feet?
How much feet?
How much feet?
How many?
No, it's many. How many feet will Trump's plane have to descend, meaning go down, in order to just get to the water? How far is that plane going to have to travel just to get there, Nixon? 120 feet. And then how much farther is he going to have to travel to get down to where Yamanika and the sharks are? Tyler?
100 feet.
100 feet. So when I ask for the vertical... When I ask for the vertical distance, that's what I'm trying to figure out. What am I going to do now to figure out the complete vertical distance? Yes. I'm going to No. I'm going to add. Yes. Think about it. If you subtracted, you would get 20 feet, guys. Clearly, there's more than 20 feet there. That's why we make it into a number line. I wish I could just say, just subtract them. But that's why we draw it to visualize it. Now, real quick. We know this is 120 feet. We'll do the next one, then I'll talk more. What is the vertical distance between Bill Nye? That's what I said. I was just making sure everybody was paying attention.
You said 100.
You know what? Sometimes I just get things wrong on purpose. All right, so here I have Bill Nye. Here I have Harrison. Touch it, boy. Okay. Now, Harrison, he loves his meatloaf. He does, don't you? Meatloaf's disgusting.
I like it.
Okay, I do not like meatloaf. But Harrison, it's a meatloaf Monday. And he just loves meatloaf, okay? So he's up there jumping for joy, thinking about naming my daughter Harrison. And he is so excited, he starts going, I smell that meatloaf. That smells so good. That must be Bill Nye making that meatloaf. So he wants to go visit Bill Nye. So what Harrison's going to do is he is going to jump. He's going to fall now from jumping up. How far is Harrison going to fall until he gets wet? Lainey?
50.
He's going to... 50 what?
Feet.
50 feet. Now, he's in the water now. He's still able to smell, even I'm not sure how that works, but he's still able to smell. How much farther is he going to have to travel then to get to Bill Nye the Science Guy, Grace? 40 feet. And then what are we going to have to do with those two distances? Yes? We are going to add them. 50 and 40 would mean that you would have to travel a total of 90 feet. Everybody got that? Now, what is the vertical distance between... let me find a new color here. Green. What is the vertical distance between Yamanika and Bill Nye? How am I going to figure that one out? Yes? You're going to subtract 140. Now, the fact that they're negatives, guys, I've told you before, is there any such thing as negative distance? No, there is not. So some people might say, well, why do you have negative 100 feet? Feet is a distance. But remember, I'm not saying that you need to subtract negative 100. That's just how we're drawing it when it's on the number line. All that means is that Yamanika is 100 feet below the sea level. That's all it means. She's 100 feet into the water. Do you guys agree?
Yep.
Okay. So, yes?
Didn't it already tell you the answer though?
It did. No, it did. But I'm just preparing you for the next question. So that's why I did it this way. So when it's, so it would be 60 feet. Has everybody got that?
Yeah.
You guys know what a mnemonic device is? I'm going to tell you right now what a mnemonic device is. Mnemonic devices are like those little things that help you to remember things. So, for instance, PEMDAS. PEMDAS. Oh, there's another one that's just in my mind. I forgot it. But PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Those things remind you of what to do in your order of operations. There was something in English you guys just did. There you go. That helping verbs. Yes, they are helping verbs. Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Now that would be a type of mnemonic device. So I'm going to give you one now that can help you to remember. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. When we're trying to find vertical distance, everybody listen to this real quick because I want you to hear this because some of these can get kind of tricky after a while. So I want to make sure this was a very basic one. When you're doing vertical distance, when you have to go across 0. Actually, before I say that, I'm sorry. Real quick, does anybody see these arrows that I'm putting on here to help me find? Can anybody relate that back to something we did last week? When I added 120 and 100 to figure out the distance between Trump and Yam, what am I adding there? What did we do last week? What is that? What are those numbers? Yes? But it had a name. I think it was a target. You guys thought it was easy. Tatum? Absolute value. Do you guys agree? This is all about the absolute values when you're talking about vertical distance. So, I can see right away that Trump, in order to figure out the distance between Trump and Yamanika, I know I had to add their absolute values, right? When I'm figuring out the distance between Harrison and Bill Nye, I have to add their absolute values. When I'm trying to figure out the distance between Yamanika and Bill Nye, I have to subtract their absolute values. Are you guys getting this?
Yeah.
Okay, now let me give you that little mnemonic device now. When you go across 0, do you agree we went across 0 to do Yamanika and Trump? Okay, and then when we did Bill Nye and Yamanika, did we stay on the same side of 0? Okay, here's your little way of remembering this. You guys ready? When you go across 0, you are going to add the absolute values. When you stay on the same side of 0, you're going to subtract. Okay? Remember, adding and subtracting the absolute values. Now, as I'm coming around the room, I'm seeing a lot of you missing it. Okay? Now, I know why. So I want you to be watching. Try to understand what I'm telling you because I know what mistakes you're already making. So please just hear me out. So the first thing we should put on there is what, guys?
0.
Yeah, and you can do it like that with a little wave, or you could write sea level. I don't care. Just as long as you understand what you're saying. It just means that's where 0 is. Now, let's read through this here, guys. I shouldn't see people drawing, writing, anything. I should see you listening. Okay? It says a hot air balloon's engine got stuck in a cloud, and it was at 250 feet above the sea level. Now, if it ever just gives you the feet above sea level or below sea level, that's where it is on the number line, right? Because it's giving you above sea level. So I think everybody, from what I saw, everybody had 250 feet on their number line. Okay, and obviously that would be our hot air balloon. So, if you want to draw a little balloon. You know what?
Mushroom.
It's a ping pong paddle. It's a mushroom. Charades. Hot air. Okay, so it's a hot air balloon up there at 250 feet. Everybody knew that because that's the easy one. That's the easy one because that's giving you how many feet it is above the sea level. So that's easy. Okay, now let's go down to the next one. Mr. Garrison was making snickerdoodles in a whale's belly at 120 feet below the sea level. Once again, I didn't see any issues with this. I think pretty much everybody had me down here because it gave us, once again, it gave us the feet below sea level. Everybody agree with that? Does everybody understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty easy as far as being able to put it on the number line because it is there. Now, notice one more time here. Do you see how I'm labeling them here? The numbers are on the right, the labels are on the left. Are you guys seeing this? Now, the first two were very easy. Everybody got them right. Now it's all about these other two. These are the ones that were tricky. Okay? So, Santa Claus was flying 80 feet below the hot air balloon. Santa Claus was flying 80 feet below the hot air balloon. Now, a couple of mistakes. I'm going to do all mistakes in red. Okay? One thing I'm seeing students do is I'm seeing them put 80 feet. And there's SC, Santa Claus. Does it say Santa Claus is flying 80 feet above sea level? It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that at all. So it can't. It doesn't say that. It says something different. Okay? And what does it say exactly? Yes?
80 feet below the hot air balloon?
It says 80 feet below the hot air balloon. So you got to think, if this is the hot air balloon, I got to do 80 feet below that. So what am I going to do to figure that out? Yes?
Subtract.
I'm going to subtract 250 minus the 80 feet. That's how far down it is. That's where I learned that Santa Claus is at 170 feet. Everybody got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's go to the last one. Drake is driving his Golden Shark 15 feet above Mr. Garrison. Again, I'm seeing people put 15 on here. It doesn't say 15 feet above sea level. Do you see how this is more of a reading thing than anything else?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so let's go down here. Some people see below. Well, actually they don't. It says above. So we've got to think above me. I'm right here at 150 or 120 feet. What would 15 feet above me be? What spot on the number line? Yeah, Bob? What would it be? Couldn't hear you. Negative 105 feet. Did everybody see where I got that?
No.
Again, no. I just like up here, I did 250 minus the 80 feet that this Santa Claus was below the balloon.
But you
So-
did the same size.
Right. That's more about vertical distance, but yes, you're absolutely correct because it doesn't work. Well, I don't want to confuse anybody. Okay, so we know that Drake was above me because it says above me, and we say it was 15 feet above me. So again, it's all about subtracting the absolute values. Since it's closer to zero, Grace, don't please. Okay, so I'm going to add 15, or I'm going to subtract 15 feet from 120. You guys see that?
Yeah.
If this is 120 right here, 15 feet up is going to be 105. You guys all understand that?
Yep.
And it's negatives because we're on that side of zero. Everybody got that?
Yep.
Okay, now, the question would be, what is the vertical distance? Well, if I'm looking right here, what would be the vertical distance between Drake and the hot air balloon? How would I figure that out? Just tell me that. You don't have to do the math in your head, but how would you figure out the distance between Drake and the hot air balloon here? Ryan?
I would add them there.
You would add their absolute values, right? And the reason why is Drake, maybe he wants to go up to the hot air balloon. So how far would Drake have to swim to get back up to sea level? 105. That's the absolute value of negative 105. How much farther is he going to have to go to get up to the hot air balloon? 250, right? 250 plus 105, that would give us our vertical distance. So what's the vertical distance of Mr. Garrison and Santa Claus?
Oh, I know.
What's that going to be? Go ahead,
Oh, wait, no.
Autumn.
Oh, wait, yeah, I do. Oh, wait, you do. Wait, do you want to give me do you want me to give you the?
I just want you to tell me how to find it.
Oh, you do 140 plus 100.
You got it. Add the absolute value, so I'm going across. Think of it like this. Santa Claus wants to come down and join me with in making my snickerdoodles. So I know that I would have to, or Santa Claus would have to travel 170 to get to the water, another 120 to get down to me. Therefore, it's 290. Right, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to here, if I'm trying to figure out the distance between these two, I'm going to subtract 250 minus 170. If I'm going across 0, I'm going to add them. Everybody got that?
Yes.
Great. All right, let me record. Jenny Craig is riding a unicorn at 40 feet above the sea level. First of all, we're going to go ahead and put sea level on there, 0 feet. Everybody got that? We know that Jenny Craig is up there at 40 feet. There we go. We'll put JC for Jenny Craig. Okay. Malia is correcting Jenny Craig at 20 feet above him.
What do you mean correcting?
She's always correcting me on everything. So that's why I
Jenny's
said
a
that.
girl's
Okay, so where is Malia going to be on this number line? If she's above Jenny Craig, where is she going to be? 20 feet above, yeah. Not 80. 60, right? So we know that Malia is 60 feet at 60 feet above sea level. Okay, so I know that because Jenny Craig was at 40, if Malia's 20 feet above that person, then that would put Malia at 60 feet. Has everybody got that?
Yeah.
Going down here, I hear people like doing other things. Okay, just listen. Tryphosa is giggling with a shark at 30 feet below sea level. So we know she's going to be down here giggling with a shark. Okay? Now, Callie is erasing her board at 10 feet below Try. So where's Callie going to be? Malia?
40 people.
Not 40. Well, yeah, 40 feet below. So that would be negative 40. Did everybody see that? So we wouldn't do 30 minus 10 to figure that out. You guys all understand that? The only time we add or subtract is when you're going across when you're doing vertical distance. Okay, you might have to add on to 30 if the person is below. You may have to add on to 40 if they're above on the positive side. Does that make sense? Okay, now if I were figuring out the vertical distance here, what's the vertical distance between Callie and Jenny Craig? Yeah, 80 feet. 40 back to 0, 40 up to Jenny Craig. What would it be from Malia to Tryphosa, Harrison?
Oh,
It would be 90 feet. Everybody getting this, how this works?